Hey, and welcome back to Troll Time. I'm your host, Tyler D. Curtis, aka the Troll King. This is a show where we talk sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. Today, we're going to keep it pretty short, sweet, and straight to the point. Of course, we'll be talking about the WNBA, the latest news, injuries, game recaps, and all of those good things. Also, we'll be discussing Daniel Jones' name as starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And then also Tank Davis is fighting Jake Paul. If you've been paying attention to the show, you know I don't do it alone. Hey Willie, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey man, what's good, man? We get to that point. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, the W and all these other sports are converging. I love this time of year, man.
Yeah, it is about to be a log jam here. Kick the WNBA news off. Sophie Cunningham and Lee Yaroo are out for the remainder of the season. I think he said Lee Yaroo with a sprained MCL, and Sophie Cunningham got injured in a game not too long ago. I had a knee injury as well. So both of them out for the remainder of the season. Definitely a tough scene. There's been a ton of injuries in the WNBA, and it seems like it just keeps piling up. A few things I want to discuss in relation to the injuries is a lot of people, blaming the officiating on injuries, and it's like, and particularly, you have a lot of WNBA, the Fever fans, thinking that the Fever is targeted. Now, I've said over and over, I'm an Indiana Fever fan, but I can like to consider myself one of the realistic fans that I don't blame everything. It's not public enemy number one. Everything is not targeted towards the Fever or per se. Because if you watch as many games as we do, you see the same things in every game. Some to different magnitudes, but you still see the same hard fouls, the same injuries, people getting hurt. Physical game, it just is what it is. It's all a part of it. The Indiana Fever, man, the roster's getting slim. And the estimated return date for Caitlin Clark is September 2nd. But just noted earlier today, I seen on Yahoo Sports, it was talking about a bone bruise that she had suffered in practice when they were in Phoenix. So they said that won't have anything to do with her, estimated return. But to me, that ain't the news you want to hear for somebody that's been out a significant amount of games like she has. So now that makes three, players for the Fever out for the remainder of the year. Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, and now Sophie Cunningham. And then on top of that, I was looking through the transactions where they released Odyssey Sims. So they signed, I want to say, Shea Petty to a 7-day contract. That was yesterday. So we'll see how that works out. But that backcourt is getting slimmer and slimmer. Hey, Willie, your thoughts on those players in particular, or just injuries in general?
If I am Indiana in particular, all these teams, but certainly if I'm Indiana, and one of the sayings that you could tell that my grandparents are from the South that I heard was burning bread on someone. And people talk about this a lot. Shout out to my people in St. Louis. Burning bread on someone is wishing something on somebody by mentioning it or making mention of it. And in this case, I don't want to burn bread on Caitlin Clark, but let me go back to a lot of times because it's basketball, we make a lot of references as it relates to the NBA and the WNBA. Let me go back to right when the season started in 2010 after the lockout ended, 2010, 2011 season. Um, we played 66 games that year. I think Derrick Rose missed like 25 of those games that season. First day of the playoffs, he tore his ACL. D Rose is never the same after that. The D Rose experience in Chicago, and I was living there at the time, was something to behold when Derrick Rose was Derrick Rose. And of course, through those injuries, Derrick Rose has become a greater person. And he would tell you that in terms of all the things that he's endured throughout his life, injuries included in the NBA. He's become a greater person. But just strictly as a basketball person, I felt like we were robbed of watching his greatness for a prolonged amount of time because I felt like the team rushed him back when he missed half of a shortened season, almost half of a shortened season due to injury. I feel like we're starting to get into that territory with Caitlin Clark now. It gets to a point where you had diminishing returns, and it's like you got to be think about the future and think about what's going to happen 5 years from now, 2 years from now, as opposed to rushing a player out and sacrificing the next season, and no guarantee that they're going to come back the same if they endure a significant injury because you rushed them out there. We saw a rash of Achilles injuries to high profile NBA players because guys wanted to play. Players, one thing that players do, and we know this, we talked about this last week as we talked about branding and all of those things. Are there players that on the women's side and the men's side, once they get a bag, they'll shut it down? Sure, there are players that are like that. But the reality is these players will play this game for free. So you got to save them from themselves. So discretion's got to be the better part of valor, fam, and say, look, you know what? It gets to a point where it's like, let's look at being greater later, especially if we ain't gonna win a title this year. If we're gonna be greater later, let's go ahead and shut it down and see what we got coming for the next season and seasons after that, in my opinion, man.
No, I agree. And that was an MCL tear that Sophie Cunningham suffered in the game on Sunday against Connecticut. And getting to that game, kind of segueing in, I'm gonna kind of mix some of the Facebook posts that I made, and as per usual, people went far left. But I had made a post. I had made a post about fair weather Fever fans, and in regards to the fact that in that game against Connecticut, they were getting beat pretty good early. But I'm like, man, it's early in the game. First quarter, second quarter, it's early. It's a lot of basketball left. And I seen a lot of people on the post, man, this man, they was just giving their full feelings about, what they thought, what they were watching. I mean, and it was pretty bad. I mean, to say the least. But my thing is, if you a fan, stick it out. Like, stay with them to the end and see what happens. And slowly but surely, the Fever started coming back. Kelsey Mitchell started going off. Everything, Lexi Hole making plays. Aaliyah Boston making plays. Boom, they win in overtime, 99-93. It was a beautiful comeback win. And that was my only point for calling people fair weather fans, is because the negativity that I was seeing, from the fact that they were losing the game, I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's basketball. It's going to be a game of runs. Sometimes teams get out, start out slow, and then they pick it up at the end. And that's surely what happened. And Kelsey Mitchell finished with 38 points. They got the win. But that was my thing, man. You can't just be on the wagon when everything's working well. Because this team is probably handling adversity just about as good as you can. I mean, I honestly, for them to endure all the injuries and all the different situations that they've been in, I mean, to me, they more than battle tested when the playoffs come around. I mean, and that's my thing. Just stay in the playoffs and just get in there and shake some things up. I mean, it's going to it's yet to be seen on how Caitlin would be when she returns. But even with that, now everybody having a newfound confidence in their skills and ability of how they've been able to carry the Fever while she's been out. That should be a plus. And then I'd have to imagine, even when she comes back, it's going to be some type of significant amount of minute restriction. It's not just going to be full go. So still, Hey, you're gonna have to live with it's gonna be a lot of ugly fever games. Like it's because they don't have any depth in the backcourt. And when you don't have depth in the backcourt, Kelsey Mitchell's gonna get tired. Like, and she's gonna take some ill-advised shots. She's gonna make some bad plays. And now, like I said, with them releasing Odyssey Sims, it's gonna be yet to be seen who steps in and really helps out in that capacity. But like I said, just stick them out. And I'm not even gonna go into in depth about the a lot of the comments that were being made. Obviously, it was super negative, but like I say, I wanted to say this too, is that you can like a team or like a player, but not like everything about the team or the player. And I think that's where everybody gets everything confused with me. Because, people were calling me fake, and I got called a turd polisher, and I still need to look that up in Urban Dictionary to to see what it actually means. But I'm one of those. I can be a fan of somebody, but I don't mean I like everything. Like, point in case, like, I like Angel Reese, but I don't like them. I don't like her missing all them damn layups. I don't like her making all them bonehead plays. I don't like it. Like, but that's part of her game at this current state of her career, where she's gonna have to improve and get better. I like Caitlin Clark. I don't like all the crying, whining, and flopping, but I still like her game. And it's like, as soon as you mention something negative about a player, it's like, like nobody's perfect. Like, none of these players are perfect. None of these teams are perfect. So that's you always that be the part of the fan base that, like, they act like I'm playing both sides of the fence because I'm realistic in my approach. Like, I'm not gonna sit and act like all these players are perfect, because they're not. But I do have a strong admiration and fandom for them and the teams. Like, I'm riding or dying with the Fever. I just know it's gonna be tough, and like I'm telling you, while people were sitting there going off about the fact that it was ugly, oh, I was with them. But the only difference was, I'm like, man, Connecticut is not a good team. Like, so at some point, you and I know it. When a team is not that good and they playing out of their mind, it's going to be a breaking point at some point. You just got to be ready to catch them at that breaking point and make a run. And that's exactly what the Fever did. It happens most often than not when low-tier teams are playing really well. So throughout a game, it's going to always be a stretch where you got a chance to get them. If you get them, then you can possibly make a run, take the game back over, and win it. But if you don't, then you have to just chalk it up that night. And that's exactly what it was. So that was my point for making that post. Aside from that, like I said, being called a turd polisher was pretty good weekend. I even made fun of that as well. I try to tell people over and over, man, I don't get upset about anything. Like, it's all jokes at the end of the day. And I'm you got any take on that, hey Willie? Because I'm actually gonna look up the one post in particular, so I can point it out. But yeah, you got to, because, like, I think, man, it's like nowadays, man, you got to be black and white, and sports is not black and white. It's always some gray matter. But that's the way people make it seem like you got to pick and choose, like, and you don't. So that's my spiel on that.
I think for me, when we look at this, Candace Parker has talked about this, and we've talked about this too. Candace Parker has talked about this. Diana Taurasi has talked about this in terms of when you say something that may not be in the positive about a player. And what I'm talking about when you say something that's not positive about them, I'm talking about their games and their games only, not anything personal. When you say something about their games, we're not at the point where people can whether take it as constructive criticism or take that criticism and have actually some healthy discourse about a player's game and their development moving forward. We're not at the point yet where we can have those conversations and people can look at it as such. It's literally if you say something negative about a player's game, we're not talking about all that personal stuff, man, and calling people turd polishers and all that stuff because you said something negative about someone's game, right? Um, it just seems like we're not at the point where people can be appreciative of that. And the other thing that we're seeing too, man, again, is the more that people talk and the more that they expose their opinions, the more you start seeing that, and I'm pulling cards here, that y'all don't know anything about basketball.
Or let me say this, hey,
Like,
Willie. It's not even that they don't know anything about basketball. It's just not about basketball. Like, cause I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
a lot of people that I interact with on the daily that know basketball, but I think that their personal feelings interfere with that. But
yeah.
go ahead, my
But I
bad.
also think, but I agree with that. But I also think people resort to personal attacks when they don't know anything about basketball.
Oh, 1,000%.
Like because if we're having a basketball conversation, we can have that all day. But when you start making personal attacks about whatever it is that people make personal attacks about, it shows that either you don't know basketball to your point, you're so in your feelings about it that whatever your knowledge of the game is, you don't even communicate that. And the post is literally about it would be different, man, if you're making a post about a personal attack or a personal assessment of a person or a player. We're literally talking basketball here. So there's no point in even talking about something personal about a player. There's no point in even bringing that up because this is a basketball post. If you want to make something personal, I highly advise that you don't. But if you want to make personal attacks on people, go on your own page and make personal attacks on people. But don't come to somebody talking basketball and making a basketball assessment and make personal attacks. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I respect
And
that, hey Willie, but I invite people. Like I said,
I know you do.
the troll world is a
Agreed.
play. It's a place for the happy, the sad, the mad, the disgruntled, for everybody. Like get it off your chest. You
Yeah,
know,
you don't discriminate.
now the other funny posts, man, and it's just most of the time the funniest responses come from posts that's like simple. Cause I made a post after the Fever when they came back. I said, "What a fucking game!" And sure, it was somebody under the post saying, "You don't have to use the F bomb." Like, and I'm like, bro, like, I was excited. Like, it was a hell of a
Right,
game. Like,
right,
and I'm
right. No
like,
doubt.
then I say, man, imagine being almost 50 years old and somebody telling you, how to talk on your own page. And then another guy comes on and say, imagine being butthurt about what somebody said. Bro, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. The people who interact with me daily know. Trust me, I take the high road every day. Cause it's smoother up there. The traffic is clear, man. It ain't jam packed or nothing. Like, I'm just laughing my way through. So like, trust me, I don't get offended. But like, it just be like, I know that they're not joking. Like like he was serious because I used the F word. Like, and I'm like, come on. So now you're telling me, sir, you have never cussed a day in your life. Like you've never said a cuss word. And then I'm like, I know somewhere you gotta have a grandkid or somewhere you need to be telling them what to do instead of be trying to tell me what to do. Like,
Yeah, right,
but no,
right.
that's the funny part about it. But moving along, man. Dominique Malonga. I just want to mention, give her a shout out, man, because she has been hooping, and honestly, if she had played more, who knows what would have happened? I mean, because in particular, she went to a team, and this is always funny about the WNBA draft. She went to a team that was loaded already in the front court. Now, that's a good thing, and it can be looked at as a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that it's not a rush for her to get out there and have to learn on the fly. Get a chance to develop, get a chance to play against the best front court players in the WNBA on a daily basis in practice and things of that nature. Now, the downside is, of course, you're not nobody wants to sit the bench. I don't care from a rookie to a vet. Nobody wants to sit the bench. But as of lately, man, she has really been putting on the show, and it's been beautiful to watch. I mean, collecting double doubles, and being efficient. I think they've done right by her so far. And it's just going to be interesting to see because obviously I would say I think Noelle Quinn is on the burner, unless they
You ain't
make.
talking about but hold on, you talking about the phone or you talking about something else?
Nah, I'm talking about the hottest of the hot seats. Unless they make some
Yeah.
type of magical run in the playoffs, I don't see
Which they're
Noelle Quinn.
talented enough to do, which is the crazy part.
Exactly, but if that doesn't happen, I don't see Noelle Quinn returning unless it's a Marvin Lewis situation or something, man. Because I don't, I can't see it like that. But as I mentioned, Dominique Malaga in her recent games, she's had double figure, double, a lot of double digit scoring efforts. One of her best outputs of the year was 20 points and 11 rebounds against the Sparks in a loss, but you still seen the potential is there. Then obviously last night, and of course we'll get to those recaps, but she had 15 points and 7 rebounds. I mean, and she's still doing this coming off the bench, and that was with 3 blocks. But I just really like the way she's been playing. Of course, these rookie of the year conversations are going to start to heat up here soon, which is honestly, I just made a post yesterday. I mean, I understand analytics and numbers and all of that, but you can't tell me that what Sonia Citron is doing is second best to Paige Beckers. You just not gonna make me believe it. Like I said, I understand analytics and all this and all that, but Kiki and Sonya, for what they have done with Washington, is impressive. Two rookies playing a major role into what's been going on in Washington. I mean, you can't downplay that. But like I said, that'll be, obviously up to the to the voters and things of that nature. And of course, people in the
Narrative based.
people in the media, you can't hype a player and then not see it all the way through. So like that's what it comes down to. And I'm not saying that Paige is not worth the hype or anything like that, but trust me, it's okay that somebody's been playing at her level or if not better. And then too, I think I seen somebody else made a point that I thought was great is that, she done set out a lot of games. Sonya been on the floor. So it's just one of those things for me. You got it, A. Willie.
No, man, I agree with what you're saying. And I think sometimes too, again, it's all we start moving the goalposts as it relates to making our argument as it fits our argument. And sometimes, as we talked about, these awards are narrative based. You come into the season with the biggest platform, and now it's okay. We have to justify why a certain player had the biggest platform, and we have to award them with the award, whether that's MVP, whether that's Rookie of the Year, whatever it is. Um, but I think it's healthy when other players start to emerge, and it's a real conversation around who is wins the award, whether that's MVP, whether it's Rookie of the Year, whether it's Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Player of the Year, whatever it is. I think it's healthy. It means the league is in a good state when you're having debates about who should win the awards. Now, having said that, if you have to decide, are we giving the award to the best performing rookie or best performing player of that year? Is it going to be, hey, this player didn't get it, so they deserve it? You talk about MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever. They didn't get it. Maybe they should have got it 2 years ago. We got to lace them now. See, all of that stuff comes into the equation when you're looking at these awards. Is it going to the best player in the league every year? All of those things matter, man. And so I think it's healthy that we have a real discussion about who's the rookie of the year because I guess again it shows that the league is in a healthy place. It shows that There are other players that are emerging, and it's good, man. I think it's great that we had this conversation. And here's the other thing: you know this, and I know this. Players are very, 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 very competitive and petty. And they can say, oh man, these awards don't matter. Yes, they do matter. So the fact that there are other rookies that are pushing Paige, other rookies that are pushing Sony, other rookies that are pushing Kiki, they all get motivated by that as well. And we are the beneficiaries of that because we see the heightened play, we see the spirited, competitive nature of all these players, man. I think it's great.
No, I agree, man. Hopping right into these game recaps. Now, I will tell you this. Went from an action-packed Sunday, slate of games, and then Monday, no games, and then boom, 5 games on Tuesday, man. Honestly, by the time those 10 o'clock games roll around, man, I'd be kind of whooped. I mean, and I can't, and I'm only focusing on one. I can't really, I'm flicking back and forth, for sometimes I got the multi-view up in it, and I can't really hone in like I want. But, of course, the highly anticipated game of yesterday was the Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty. New York Liberty handled business, 85-75. Jonquel Jones, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 3 for 5 from the field. From the three. Sabrina Ionescu, 17 points, 11 assists, 4 for 10 from 3. Emma Messiman, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, who I think is going to be major in what they do in this playoff run, considering what's going on with Stewie in that knee, and then also Sabali with her knee issues as well. Then on the other end, Courtney Williams, 17 points. But it pretty was a lackluster day for Minnesota. They all 3 players who came out the bench scored in double figures. Dejanay Carrington with 11 points. Natisha Heidemann with 16 points, 2 for 4 from the field. But the Liberty improved to 22-13. The Minnesota Lynx sitting at 28-6. Still, obviously, with the WNBA's best record. But like I said, the Liberty took care of business, and I still think they're probably 2 of the favorites. When we get to Las Vegas, though, I think they're heating up. But I think when you talk about depth, what teams have what it takes to outlast in a 7-game series? Because obviously we're going with a new format this year in the W. I think that's going to make a ton of difference for the underdog and the favorite. I think because it's going to get an underdog a chance to push it and extend it, further than what series have been. So still think that's going to be interesting to see. But you got anything you want to chime in about that game before we move on to the next one?
Leonie Fevich, she coming back from after everything with Eurobasket and things, she is starting to be more impactful. And the numbers didn't show in terms of the scoring. She only took 6 shots. She was 2 for 3 from 3, but just the all-around game that she plays. I think she had like 4 assists yesterday, 5 rebounds. So you're getting playmaking from the front court with her, and that is very, very hard for teams to match up with. It's one thing when you get scoring. It's another thing when you're getting front court playmaking. In addition to her ability to stretch the floor from 3. So, in addition to Emma Mieseman, I think Leonie Fevich really starting to assert herself and playing in the way that she played last year. I think we're starting to see that now. That's a big, big plus for the defending champs, man.
Yeah, I said it from the beginning. I felt like they had probably the better front courts, aside from like Seattle. But then once they picked up Mieseman and that made all the difference. And then Isabel Harrison has been playing steady before she got hurt. That just makes them even deeper. And then Phoebe is just the X factor because she can play anywhere on the floor from the 2 to the 5 probably if needed. But skill set wise, she can do it all. So I think definitely I think that, it's going to be interesting to see how the seedings fall and things like that. But I'm not, like I said, the top two still to me is Minnesota and the Liberty. Skipping around, Las Vegas Aces defeated Atlanta Dream 74-72. Now the Las Vegas Aces are now 22-14, 13-5 at home. Atlanta Dream is now 22-13. Another dominant night for Aja Wilson with 32 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 5 blocks. Shot 50% from the field, 2 for 4 from the three, and 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Jackie Young, 16 points, 7 rebounds. And then you had Chelsea Gray with 8 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. I think they found a method in Las Vegas that's working for them right now. I like the fact that Jewel Lloyd coming off the bench, giving them a spark plug off the bench. If anybody's coached and had to find unique ways on how to play people without probably wanting to play them, most people know the easiest way to do that is to start them and play them limited minutes, because you can bring players off the bench that play starter minutes, i.e. Kirsten Bell. She starts now and played 13 minutes, but Jewel Lloyd played 29. So it's one of those things in coaching, and strategically, you actually stealing time, as long as it's not hurting you too bad. But then you're also still getting the same productivity from a player who would normally be a starter coming off the bench. So I actually, hats off to Becky Hammond for making that coach's decision and move. Atlanta, on the other hand, I still think Smexco is doing a hell of a job down in Atlanta. I don't know what a lot of people was expecting from Atlanta, but I actually feel like they in a good spot, and I think he's probably going to be in the top for coach of the year. I mean, coach of the year. His name is probably going to be in the hat. But Ryan Howard is back on the court, which is great. She finished with 19 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. Alicia Gray, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And then Brittany Griner is now coming off the bench with 16 points and 8 rebounds. Naz Hillman has been starting since Brittany Griner has left the lineup. But great game, but Vegas took care of business. And I think what I wanted to mention is that, aside from the New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx, the Las Vegas Aces are hitting a stride right now. And honestly, what I've witnessed over time as of late in the W is that if you got a player like Aja Wilson, you sitting in a good spot, especially when the game slows down in the playoffs and you need somebody that you can throw it to and get a bucket or get free throws or the playthrough. I think Aja Wilson is doing all of that. I actually thought early in the season her numbers were solid. They just wasn't winning. Now they're winning, and you see that her name is creeping back into the MVP talks, rightfully so. And now they have a few games left. I think they got 8 games left. And we'll see how that finishes out. But I think Las Vegas has been doing a phenomenal job down the stretch of the WNBA season. Your thoughts, Willie?
Man, I was sitting there watching Aja Wilson and just thinking about how I was simping over there, just watching her hoop. Man, like just a hoop simp. Just sitting over there like Aja Wilson, the player that you are, man. And, to your point about the pace, when you look at this game, they only scored 74 points. She had 32 of them jokers.
Right.
Right? So it's one of the things that goes both ways, right? Like when you look at, of course, you take that greatness that she is demonstrating almost on a nightly basis, it seems now. And she understands the moment, and she's considering the time and knowing how critical it is for this team to make a run, gain some confidence as you start marching toward the playoffs. The only thing that I'll say, and I've said this before, I was in a game last year when the Aces played in Dallas, and she wore Dallas out last year. I want to say she had 40. but she had 40. And when she has those types of games, she's having those types of games because you're looking for other people. You're looking for more balance. So the only thing that I worry about is if you tell me once they start advancing in the playoffs that when they meet up with the Minnesota, it's going to take 30 points a night for them to be in the games and win it from Asia, that's going to be very, very tough to sustain when they play against great teams that have a lot of depth, that have a lot of bigs that they can throw at her. I still think that they need more production from some other people. And I'd be much more comfortable if there was a little more balance with that. Asia being great is Asia being great. Don't let me take away from that. But moving forward, as they move forward, I would think that they would want a little more balance. Now, if it's a game like this, 74-72, and this is the pace, then okay. I guess, we can get Asia having 30, 32 of the 74 and win it. But if it's running up and down and the game is moving, and now you're saying to her, all right, that 30's got to become 40 or 45, that's hard. That's a hard thing to sustain. So, but I say that because I guess I'm being a hater, and I ain't trying to be a hater. But man, it's amazing watching her play. And again, it was also too. I want to say shout out to Ryan Howard that she's returned because she's been playing really well, and she's a player that to whom much is given, much is required. That's a player that I've been waiting to see a lot from because I feel like Atlanta needs her to play like a top five, top 10 player for them to really, really get into that upper echelon conversation as it relates to teams in the league. So when she's playing right and she's engaged, seems like she's healthy. Atlanta's tough, man.
No, I agree. And when you talk about wanting to see something sustainable, like it is crazy to think that they only scored 74 points, and you only got 9 points, 7 points out of Jewel Lloyd. Now in their defense, this is a playoff team that they were playing, so it's a good sign, but it could be a question mark. Only for the simple fact that it's going to be hard to beat a team 4 times. Doing what they're trying to do, it's going to be hard to beat a team 4 times if you're not getting any consistent scoring or production from anybody aside, not named Asia Wilson. And even for that point, Jackie Young, who I think has been playing well as of
Yeah.
so. I think it's something to keep an eye on, but I definitely want to see how they finish up and then see where they end up at because they definitely can make a push and get into that top four. Right now they're sitting at 5, and actually it's tied with them and the Mercury. So that's going to be interesting. The Mercury, I mean, they're probably only a half game away from moving into that 4th spot. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on. Another team, 2 other playoff teams matched up last night. The Phoenix Mercury and the Golden State Valkyries. Phoenix Mercury went into Valhalla and pulled out a W, 98-91. Phoenix is now 21-13. Golden State is 18-17. Still holding on. They're holding on to a playoff spot. They're at that 7th spot. They want to be careful because they're kind of flirting with danger right now. But Phoenix looked good last night. Kalia Copper led the charge with 25 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 for 9 from the 3. Satu Sabali, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. And then you had Alyssa Thomas, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block. DeWanna Bonner had 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 steal, 1 block off the bench. And then Natasha Mack played really well with 14 points and 7 rebounds and 1 block. And then Veronica Burton, man, 24 points, 14 assists, no turnovers, 2 steals, 2 for 5 from 3. And Kate Martin, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Carla Lee, 15 points, 3 assists, 4 steals, 2 for 3 from the 3. But just Phoenix being Phoenix, gritty, went in there on the road, and pulled out a win, man. Really, it was the fourth quarter who did it. What did it for them? They outscored Golden State 30-18, and that pretty much solidified the victory. It was pretty much back and forth up until that point. Hey, Willie, you got any thoughts about that game?
Man, you know I love point guards, bro. Veronica Burton, the player that you are. Like, again, it's impressive to watch a player when you handle the ball and you making all the decisions that you make. You get 24, 14, and zero turnovers. Like that, the zero turnovers says a whole lot when you are making the decisions that you make as a player and the ball is in your hands, the amount that it is. I think the other thing to make note of too is Satu Sabali, since she had her hiatus, has come back playing really, really well. And she's been really efficient offensively, taking great shots. And then in this game, because again, we talked about that earlier, when you are big and your team can run your offense through as a big because you're a good decision maker, her coming out with 5 or 6 assists in the game is also telling too. Phoenix is one of those teams that you got to keep an eye on. When they're rolling, they're another team that can beat anybody. Sammy Whitcomb has cooled down since she started the season blistering in terms of her shot attempts, but that was expected because as Kalia Copper has continued to assert herself as an offensive force, you would expect Sammy Whitcomb to not take as many shots, but she's battle tested and ready to go as Phoenix makes their run. And I think Phoenix is a team that you really, really are gonna have to watch. Natasha Mack is rounded into form also too. Phoenix is a team you got to watch, man.
No, I agree. Connecticut Sun and Washington Mystics. Now this is the thing. I know Washington Mystics is a young group. Been fighting and scrapping and clawing, trying to make the playoffs. Now this just goes to show you none of these teams show up to lose because Connecticut has been on the verge of playing spoiler every night for the last few games, and they did that just last night. They defeated the Mystics 80-69. It was pretty much a team effort. Aside from Sanaya Rivers scoring 17 points and 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and then you had Olivia Nelson Odota, 15 points and 9 rebounds. This is all off the bench. I
She's
mean,
had a good year.
no,
Ona's had a real good year.
without a doubt.
Performance part. Don't
And
get me started.
with 4 assists, 1 block. I mean, actually, we'll get to that because the Sparks play tonight. But I mean, the Sparks they got a good foundation. They just need to keep it together now. But that was all off the bench, and then you had Tina Charles, 13 points, 9 rebounds. But like I said, Layla Lacan for Connecticut joined the team late, but she is a dynamic two-way player. And what I think somebody mentioned in the future, if her and Sanaya Rivers is defending your backcourt, you might be in trouble. Length, quick, athletic, very good defensive instincts. It's been fun to watch her since she has and can't score the ball. But since she's returned, since she's came to the team late, like I said throughout the season, she's looked really good. It just took some time for her to settle in, but I think she's going to be fine. It's just going to be a matter of who Connecticut can keep under wraps because they have a bad habit of building up players to go to other teams. Now in Washington, Sonia Citron.
Hold on. Let me mention that. Let
Go
me
ahead.
mention that. That's something to really keep an eye on because the other reason why that's something to keep an eye on is because they have such an uncertain future, right? In
Right, right.
terms of where they're going to be, and a lot of players ain't going. A lot of the good players are like, hey, like where are we going to be? Where am I going to play? Let's get a practice facility. All those things. So that is something to your point. That's something to keep an eye on for certain. How players feel about going to a situation when they don't know what city they're going to be in moving forward.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Sonya Citron, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Kiki, 9 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and then Shakira Austin, 12 points, 7 rebounds. But that was a game I was wanting Washington to win. I mean, they kind of keep their playoff hopes alive, but Connecticut had other thoughts. The last matchup of the night was the Seattle Storm and the Chicago Sky. Seattle Storm took care of the Sky 94-88. They're now 18-18, uh, which is a very interesting record for them. But it also was the return of Angel Reese, who did not disappoint. I mean, she played really well. But let me keep it with Seattle. Uh, Neka Gumake, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Skylar Diggins, 24 points, 6 assists, 3 for 6 shooting from the three. Also 1 steal, 1 block. And as mentioned earlier, you had Dominique Malonga with 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 19 minutes off the bench. And the reason why I put emphasis on 19 minutes because almost every starter for Seattle played almost 30 minutes. The lowest was Ezzy Magbagor with 28 minutes. So that just shows you how effective she was when she got in the game. Flip it over to the other side. Angel Reese, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 9 for 13 shooting from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line to go with 4 assists, 1 block. Then you had Ariel Atkins with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And off the bench, Elizabeth Williams, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. But this was a game where Seattle was in control. Chicago made a valid effort to come back and the score is probably closer than what the game really indicated in stretches. Chicago outscored Seattle 38-28 in the fourth quarter, but like I said, Seattle was pretty much up double digits. Chicago fought back, gave a good effort, but came up short. And Chicago, man, it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens with them. 8-26, a lot of first round picks, not nowhere in sight. So I don't know, and obviously people not really wanting to go there and play. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens with the future Chicago. But hats off to Seattle getting the win. That pretty much wraps up the game recaps from last night. Willie, quick thoughts before we get to tonight's matchup really quick, and then a few other topics before we get out of here.
I think one of the things to pay attention to what we're seeing with Layla Lacan, Janelle Saloon, Gabby Williams, of course, former Spark hurt me in the heart. Dominic Malonga, Marie Johannes. We're seeing why the French national team took our team to the brink in terms of in that gold medal game last year. We were on the brink. And amazing game, but we see why. And the W is showing why these amazing French players are coming over and doing their thing. I think that's one thing I want to note. The second thing I want to note, and this is going back to Asia Wilson and Dominique Malanga. So I made mention of this before. Asia Wilson, and I made mention of the bigs that are in the W. The fact that we have a game that really appreciates and accentuates size where bigs can do big stuff. I love to see it, man. Now, I talked about the learning curve as it relates to Kiki early on in the season because she is facing real bigs. Every night, she faces some real dogs at her position. And with that being said, I want to make mention of Dominique Malonga, 3 blocks, like you said, Asia Wilson, 5. Dominique had 3 blocks and 1 foul. Asia had 5 blocks and 2 fouls. So they ain't out there. There is, as we talk about block shots, we're going down the scouting rabbit hole because, as you all know, your boy is a scout. So there is a way where sometimes when we look at people and we say, all right, they're contesting shots. But sometimes when people are contesting shots and they're doing it in an undisciplined way, they're giving the other team the opposing team extra offensive chances because they're undisciplined in the blocks. They're over helping. They're committing a bunch of fouls. But when you see Asia Wilson with 5 blocks and 2 fouls, Dominique Malanga with 3 blocks and 1 foul, not only are they protecting the rim and anchoring your defense, they are doing it in a consistent, they're doing it in a disciplined way, which actually anchors your defense. And your smalls and your other big don't have to overcompensate for the fact that you got a big that's undisciplined and that's just going for blocks willy nilly. I just want to mention that, man.
No, I got you. I got you. Looking at it tonight's matchup, you got the Dallas Wings and the Los Angeles Sparks, which is interesting because the Sparks are only one game outside of the playoffs, and this could be a building block for the last stretch WNBA games left to try to make that eighth spot. I can't see them. I mean, unless they really get hot, I can't see them probably going anywhere past 8. But and it's crazy because Seattle is sitting at the 8th spot. Tonight's matchup, you got Enrique Agumbawale out. You got Isaiah James, who's a game time decision. Everybody's healthy for the Sparks. Hats off to that. They've been suffering a lot from, early in the season, obviously waiting for Cameron Brink to return, and Rakia Jackson missed some games. Then Ray Burrell missed some games. Julie Alleman missed some games for other reasons. But now I think I don't know. I think you got to get this win tonight. If you're serious about making the playoffs, you got to win tonight. This is a 10 p.m. start. Should be I watch most of my games on the WNBA League Pass. But like I'm saying, Sparks are at home. Unfortunately, they're 6-10 at home, which is a crazy stat when you're looking at that. But 16-18 overall record. Of course, Dallas, playing with house money, they have nothing to lose. Ultimately nothing to gain either. So I'm really looking at the Sparks.
My draft pick could be high. What you talking about?
I'm looking at the Sparks to come in and mean business early and get this game out the way. They really don't have no time to waste. I kind of segueing into, I don't know if you caught the Bird's Eye View, the Sue Bird's podcast. She had Kelsey Plum on there for just one thing that I took from it, because I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but she was saying how sometimes, when you're on a good team, as she was with the Aces, a lot of good players can start feeling undervalued. And, and I know, like, when sometimes that's easy to happen when you have a stacked team. Like when you, and let's be clear, that team became stacked. It was not stacked from the beginning. From the time they moved from San Antonio to Las Vegas, it was not a stacked team. They built that team through first, number 1 picks, and it panned out, so it became stacked. But I can see that, and in saying that, it makes you sometimes want to spread your wings and go fly somewhere else and to a situation where you feel more appreciated. And I can imagine Kelsey Plum being a esteemed veteran, being with the new era of WNBA players with Rakia Jackson, Cameron Brink, Ray Burrell, like a youthful roster. Like it's probably even lit more of a fire up under. I mean, because she's playing with some good young talent that I think is going to be in the W for a while. Hats off to her. I mean, obviously she mentioned about dealing with some personal things that we all got to see, in public with her divorce and things of that nature. But big Kelsey Plum fan, like the Sparks, like the roster. I would want nothing more but to see them get into the playoffs. Honestly, if Seattle is just going to keep messing around and not taking these games serious, I'd probably rather watch the Sparks than Seattle. Now I hate it because obviously my girl Gabby, you can tell she hate losing.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think I think LA is in good hands. I think obviously Kelsey Plum is, I can't imagine they're probably playing anywhere else after the fact. But I like the roster. Like I said, I like that. They just got to keep it together and keep building. I'm really looking forward to watching this game tonight. Hey, Willie, your thoughts?
Yeah, what Kelsey said actually says a lot in terms of there are lots of players that are like that. Lots of players that, and you see this a lot, and I know this sounds crazy, but, there are some players that will be more impactful overseas because they're wired to be the main cog than they are to come to the NBA or the WNBA and be another cog in the machine. They're just some people that are just wired to be the main cog, what we call it, main character energy, right? There are players that that's what they require, that's what they seek, and they function better win, lose, or draw when they get to exhibit main character energy. And that's why I can tell you going behind the curtain a little bit again, scouting, that's why we do so much background work on what type of person a player is. Because again, some players function better with, hey, let somebody else be the lead. And we're talking elite players, right? There are some elite players that function better being the second dog and let somebody else be the main dog and just let me cook, let me hoop. I don't want to be the pace setter. Then there are other players that function better being the pace setter. That's all real. Doesn't mean that you're going to get less effort. It's all about getting, and that's the part of a scout, of a GM, that you really have to be able to find out about a player. Not only are they good from a talent standpoint, not only do they fit my system from a talent and skill standpoint, do they fit what we do from a mentality standpoint? And players, when they go throughout, matriculate throughout their career, yeah, I use a big word, Brandeis graduate, right? So when you matriculate through your career, sometimes that changes. Sometimes you want main character energy. Sometimes you want to be on a place where, you know what, maybe I don't have to exhibit main character energy, but we're playing for a championship. We saw that with Slim. Brittany Sykes wanted to go somewhere where she could win a championship or contend for one, have enough talent to contend for one, and she's not the main character in the play anymore. So, I think it's important to listen to that voice in you when you're really trying to maximize. Because look, this is only a short amount of time, man. Even when you play a long time as a professional, it's a short amount of time in your lifespan. So, with that being said, you need to maximize that for as long as you possibly can.
Gotcha. And almost time to get out of here, but hey, Willie, you got anything you want to get off your chest? I know we talked about the Tank Davis and Jake Paul, and also Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. You got anything you want to get off your chest before we get out of here?
Hey, I'm gonna say this, man. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. I personally don't think, and again, not burning bread on anybody. I don't think he starts again unless Daniel Jones gets hurt, or it's just so awful out there that it's like, all right, we got to do something. Other than that, it has to be extenuating circumstances, in my opinion, for him to see the field in Indianapolis again. Um, we got to listen to Tank, man. Tank has been hitting for a while, man. I'm done with this boxing stuff. I don't know if I want to do this. So Tank is going. If this is for real, I can see Tank getting a big payday to fight Jake Paul because we all can talk about how crazy it is, but we all gonna watch it on Netflix, right? And he's going to get his payday, and I can see Tank riding off in the sunset to get the ultimate payday that he's really looking for. I can see him being done because that's what he talks about. And I can say this because, hey, I do combat sports to try to stay in shape. It's a journey, but I'm trying. This ain't a sport that you play. So when cats start talking about retirement, you need to take that seriously because I heard Sugar Ray Leonard say this one time, which is real talk, man. Hashtag RTO, real talk only. Sugar Ray Leonard started talking about later in his career, he started seeing the humanity in what he was doing or the lack of humanity in what he was doing. Literally, hey man, I'm hitting somebody in the face and I'm getting hit in the face. And when you lose that quote unquote savagery, it's time to get out, right? It's time to get out. I play football. When you start thinking about the hits that you're taking and you're delivering, it might be time. You might have a shelf life because you can't come out there like that. And then the last thing I'll say, man, the babies have gone back to school. My baby went back to school today. For everybody, the babies, what Andre say? All the mamas, the baby mamas, everybody is going back to school. The
Mama's
daddies, the
mamas.
uncles, the mamas, everybody, man. Hey, let's have a great school year. Be safe. Don't be acting crazy at people's schools, man.
Good, well said. And for me, I haven't did the last words in a while, but man, this past weekend was rather entertaining. And really, I just want to say, man, I enjoy each and every one of y'all who tune into the show or stop by any one of my posts on Facebook. But I don't care if you like it, dislike it. You know, really, I'm not even somebody big on saying about whether something's negative or positive. Hey, I'm all for people expressing themselves and getting it out. I
All
mean,
right, Jerry Jones. All publicity is good publicity. We're
yeah,
gonna make a Netflix doc about you, bruh. Like,
nah, but like seriously, like I never get hurt about anything. You don't hurt my feelings. And like I had to tell somebody the other day because they were saying, Ivan, man, you too good. I'm like, no, I'm like life's good, man. And when life is good, man, you treat everything as such. And like I said, I don't take the unserious serious. And really, if it was anything, that's what I want to convey to everybody, man. Like, there's no need to take the unserious serious. Like, when we're on public forums talking about sports or players or anything like that, man, it should never get that serious. Like, because at the end of the day, none of us know any of these players. We don't know these coaches. We don't know anything. Some of us have been closer to the game and the sports and different things more than others, but that don't mean we know them like or anything. So, I mean, I will say that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm thankful for everybody who is a part of the troll world. I love the interactions that I have with people on a regular basis, and I look forward to continue to having that. And if you stop by a post and you get attacked, I apologize because I don't. That's not what it's for. But in saying that, I still welcome everybody. Yeah, because I love to see different point of views, opinions, and I think that's what really makes the world rather unique and sometimes a ugly place, but then oftentimes a beautiful place because we get a chance to see how other people think and it's needed. Like I said, what would the world be like if all of us was the same? If we all thought the same? If we all had the same favorite player? If we all had the same favorite team? Well, it would be boring. Like it wouldn't be. Actually, it wouldn't be nothing to talk about. So keep that in mind when you stop by Troll World. And per usual, you know, we only here to do what it says in the profile. And in the profile, it simply says, I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Make sure you catch us on the next episode.
watch women's volleyball starting Friday.